In this video, we're talking all about Adventures by Disney. Our good friend, contributor of the channel, AliaaAloha, experienced this a few months ago. We're going to talk to her about it, break it down up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We have AliaaAloha with us today. We got the Italiano. Are you feeling a little better, Italiano?
Each day, it's getting better. So, yep, I'm getting back to my old obnoxious self. So.
Perfect. So, Alia, I will start with you. Always a pleasure having you on.
If you can, thank you.
We love AliaaAloha. We love AliaaAloha. If you can remind everybody where they could find you on social media.
I am on Twitter's X at AliaaAloha.
There we go.
Twitter's X. I like that. I might have to keep that.
Yeah. Well, because it's still twitter.com. So I'm stubborn. I stay with the Twitter part. It's still twitter.com because I think the conspiracy is like x.com is owned by someone else and all that stuff. So Elon can't have it and whatever.
Which leads you to the conversation of, like, it was a huge, in my opinion, a huge branding blunder by Elon, because, like you said, now you can't use the website. You can't do x.com, and it's like, and no one calls it X. It's just a mess. He just created a total mess.
And but he has a lot of pride, so he won't go back to Twitter. It's just
No, of course not. He's strong and wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right over here, we got.
Thank you about the Twitter's X thing. So yeah,
there it is. The Italiano with the backwards hat. If you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media.
Absolutely. You could find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. So Alia, she actually created a video to kind of organize her thoughts and the entire trip. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to play the video. This is gonna be like Alia multiverse. We're gonna have two Alias. so we're gonna play the Alia video, and
I didn't know at first I was going to join, so it's going to be weird. I didn't know I was going to join, so I had weird presumptions, or I thought that you guys would talk about it after you played the whole thing. So yeah, it's going to be a weird multiverse thing. So disregard a lot of stuff when you watch this.
Absolutely. So we'll dive into it. We'll do like we usually do when it comes to these reaction videos and stuff. Is we'll play a little, we'll stop, we'll play a little, stop. George, also, I mean, if the routine. If you want to say something, just pause. Alia, same thing. If you want to say something, just let me know. And here we go. We're gonna get the party started. Go ahead.
Yes, you'll find out why because this was December 3rd through 8th, and you'll be like, oh, why did she wait a while to reveal this? And you will find out why there was a wait to reveal why, because yes, originally the plan was to talk about this trip right away, but you will find out there was a wait because I just kind of wanted to, because I'm not with the National Enquirer, so
there you go.
You'll find out.
There we go. Absolutely. Let's rock and roll.
Hey there, this is AliaaAloha, and this is for Orange Grove 55 channel purposes only. This will be on private, my personal video that Orange Grove 55 will be using, regardless if I'm there or not, for a stream. It will be, but on my YouTube channel, it will be unlisted or private. So if anyone else chooses to use it, please ask me for permission. In fact, I'm as much as I can saying you must ask me for permission. This permission is only for Orange Grove 55. And
Can you pause that really quick?
so-
Really quick.
Absolutely.
When I watched this earlier, after she made this statement, I actually it tickled me because what ran through my head was this was her very subtle way of saying, "You can try to use this, but don't."
Right, exactly. Well done.
Well, I know that YouTube has kind of like copyright kind of I was looking into it. There's kind of like a copyright thing with YouTube itself, and that I was just like, as much as I could, an umbrella with that. So, I know there's those that are going to do they're going to try to find the holes in that. But I was doing as much as I could with it, with what the protection YouTube has too. So
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
pretty much now with the discussion, this is about my time with Adventures by Disney. It was for the longer Southern California Disneyland trip. They also have a shorter one, which is just Disneyland, the Disneyland Resort, Imagineering, Walt Disney Studios. I added the extra one that included a little bit of Hollywood and El Capitan. Really, if I had to do it again, it'll be the shorter one. But no regrets, especially because I crossed paths with Josh Damaro. And now I'm going to convert completely to the slides.
Perfect. Now, I want to ask you, Ollie, before we go into the slides and stuff. So for this package, the airfare, was that part of it, or did you have to do your own airfare and stuff?
Airfare is separate, so that's up to you. Now they do offer. Now I used a travel agent, so you can either, with the Adventures by Disney, you can, with the trip itself, work with Adventures by Disney or use a travel agent. And I use Small World Vacations. But then with the airfare, you can then use Adventures by Disney or just, go separately. And I, with that, did delta.com and then went on my own. So the airfare is separate.
Okay, cool.
And then I have a quick question for you. You had mentioned that. Sorry, looking at the wrong Alia. Down there. Hello. You said.
I think I didn't wear the same thing. That
yes. Really you said that the next time, if you were to do it again, you would do the shorter one. That the longer one extends out for like the LA portion of the trip. Would you do the shorter one just because it was not your cup of tea to add the LA? You feel like it was, not worth it, or like what would make you do the shorter one the next time?
Well, the longer one is 2 hotels. So with that was kind of, I guess, more exhausting in a way, because you're like, oh my God, okay, I gotta pack again. And I mean, you're traveling by a bus, so it's not like exhausting in that way. But also though, you're not, I mean, you will miss out on the Jim Henson visit. So that part's really awesome. So if you're a huge fan of Jim Henson, then huge fan of the Jim Henson Studios, don't skip out on that. But both include the visit to Walt Disney Studios and Walt Disney Imagineering. So you will not be missing out on that if you do the shorter trip. It's just that, I guess that's the big thing, is that it's the 2 hotels, and I just kind of feel like the big focus for me is the Walt Disney Imagineering and the Disneyland Resort. And with the shorter one, you wouldn't be missing out on that. But I think for a special treat now and then sure, why not? Yes, do the extension. But if you're a huge Jim Henson fan, then definitely do the longer trip.
Okay. Interesting.
Remember though, it's two hotels. Then it's the Lowe's Hollywood and then the Grand California Hotel. And what's interesting with the Lowe's Hollywood, talk about having no fear about the competition. I check into the Lowe's Hollywood. I even sent it to OG. Check into the Lowe's Hollywood hotel room, and what's in there? A booklet about the VIP Universal experience. So
Oh,
Disney had no fear.
No, yeah, because I believe Lowe's has a working relationship with Universal, right?
They do.
Right.
They also have one down in Orlando as well.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, so this was the chosen hotel for the Adventures by Disney experience for the longer trip was the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel. And yes, when I check in, what's there for me to see on the table was something about Universal Resort VIP experience. So Disney didn't care.
Well, and it just goes so Disney puts you up in the Lowe's, right? Disney.
Yes.
So this is funny because it's like this is why I've been saying this for a long time. Like the animosity between these two companies is like a fan created thing, because clearly, like with Lowe's connection to Universal, they could have picked any other hotel company, and they still chose the one connected to Universal, which says a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think Brian Roberts and Bob Iger, yeah, they probably do hate each other, but these companies work together all the time. And like you said, clearly they're okay working with Lowe's too, even though they got a big tie to Universal. So very, very interesting, Alia. Very, very interesting.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it would have made more sense to stay at the Roosevelt Hotel because that's on the same side as the El Capitan Theater. And in a way, even though the Tower Hotel is no longer the theme, I mean, even though the Tower is now Guardians, you know, in California, the Roosevelt Hotel has more of that feel of the Tower ride back in the day.
Yeah,
it has more of that theme, and it's on the same side as the El Capitan Theater. So it would have made more sense if Disney was threatened with all that to stay at the Roosevelt Hotel for the Adventures by Disney than at Lowe's Hollywood with everything Universal when you check into your room. So I'm just saying.
Exactly. I know. Yeah, they're really shaking in their boots. You know, they check you into a hotel with a bunch of Universal stuff in the lobby. They're really, you know.
Yeah. And so first, though, I'm going to start. So yes, I teased with crossing paths with Josh tomorrow, but first, I'll start with, to me, it's the best way to visit Disneyland based on the experiences of others seen and heard in what's known as Dis Twitter. All of the complaints didn't apply. So much is taken care of by Adventures by Disney. I rarely do anything yet VIP for traveling. So it's a $100 concept versus $101 concept. In other words, once in a while versus frequently. Interesting enough, a person who lives in Southern California who was on the tour with the same outlook said that that's how he visits Disneyland. He does not see the need for Magic Key. I specifically asked him. I only used the whole using your phone app thing. So I only used my phone app to see Lightning Lane specifics or standby wait times. Otherwise, there was no need for it, in my honest opinion. Others on the tour used their phones more, but I didn't really see the need. We each received a 4-day park hopper paper ticket.
Okay, this is interesting. So you didn't so what you're saying is you used your phone, but it was pretty minimal at the parks, and your experience was fine without using your phone all day. Okay, because I hear all the time, like, we live on our phones now. I mean, it can be done. Alia is living proof. It can be done that you can do these parks and not live on your phone. Now you did utilize the Lightning Lanes, right?
Now, I don't know how it is without Adventures by Disney. I'm just saying with Adventures by Disney, and they did recommend link it to the reservation they created for us, just in case you lose the paper ticket, etc. But I'm just saying, I just used the paper ticket. I scanned it through and all that. And I only used the phone, like I said, to kind of keep track of some things and with the Lightning Lanes that they gave us and to look at the standby times. But otherwise, I rarely used my phone for Disneyland specific things. Otherwise, I used it to, look at the news or look at my email and things like that. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. George, you have any questions about that in terms of Lightning Lanes or anything like that?
No.
Well, yeah, Lightning Lanes. They gave us, and that way we were spoiled. We got like special Lightning Lanes. They lasted all day.
Okay.
Okay, so
some were ride specific, and one even lasted a few days.
Okay, so from the special Lightning Lane, that's what allowed you to not be able to use your phone as much as that you didn't need to. Okay.
That makes sense.
And
okay.
with that, I even used the paper ticket when I redeemed the Lightning Lane.
Which is funny because we were actually just talking about that with Slimer and Michael Ebba, that about the paper fast passes, that I wish that they would just kind of, recirculate them back into the parks, because I think the paper fast passes along with Disneyland's Max Pass system worked really well.
Yeah.
Now, one of the people on the tour was a Walt Disney World cast member, interesting enough. And she said that she recommends to guests to use their paper ticket if they ever get one, and to use that to redeem their Lightning Lanes when the time comes, so that it's easier. So, and that's why I was even using my paper ticket to redeem yes, it was the magical Lightning Lane with Adventures by Disney, but I was using my paper ticket to redeem the Lightning Lane. So
that's interesting. I don't have I would never get a paper ticket because I got the pass, but that's interesting though. Very, very. Have you heard of that, George?
No, I never have. That is interesting, because I do know that there are certain Adventures by Disney that also works in hand with Walt Disney World as well. So I don't know if she was referring to, like, if you were to do one for the Walt Disney World side, or if she was just meaning like just in general.
Yeah, interesting.
That's interesting.
And although I connected it with the reservation on my app, it was for backup. Otherwise, I just used the paper ticket for entry and Lightning Lanes, and my cast members say that's the way to do it. They're mostly open-ended. And so Lightning Lanes with Adventures by Disney, they're all open-ended by either one day, one even lasted a few days.
Wow. And
some are for any ride, including rides, but some are not for really the super popular rides. Like rides, but it can be used on Pirates or Haunted Mansion. Some were ride specific. We got one for just Indiana Jones, one for the Haunted Mansion, but they lasted all day. And then again, they did give us one that lasted just a few days.
Now I got to ask you, Alia. So there's been a lot of talk. We hear a lot of talk in our little community, right, about the Disney
I realized
park.
that one sentence didn't make sense, so you can ask me to clarify.
Okay, yeah, no problem, no problem. But there's been a lot of talk in our community about Disney's losing the theme park game. Like, the Disney parks aren't busy like they should be. I don't know. Like, I go pretty often, and I went on a Monday with George, like just a week ago, and it was packed. And it was even like misty a little bit, like drizzling.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen the brand withdrawal that all the brand withdrawal hype that we see on like Twitter and YouTube and stuff. I mean, your experience when you were there, was it dead? Was it busy? Was it mid?
It was super busy. In fact, I know how valuable these Lightning Lanes are, and I, especially the ones that are very time specific. I felt so guilty. Oh my gosh, I didn't use all of them, but I feel so guilty. It was so busy, and I was like, oh my God, I really would have used this one, but for this ride, and it was so crowded. I was like tired. I'm like, I want to go back to the hotel and go to sleep, and take my shower, go to sleep. I felt so guilty. I didn't use them all.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, but it's interesting though, because I've
Greedy.
seen greedy. Well, it's interesting though, because it's like it's there, and look, it's anecdotal. Like, we're eyeballing it. So to be fair, but I just personally, from visualizing this stuff, being there, pretty often, I don't know, Disneyland Resort's busy, and I just,
it was packed when I was there. Packed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't understand it. I mean, I look, I'm not justifying, like, Disney should absolutely stay on their game and stay motivated. And Daddy Josh, and we'll get to it a little bit later, Daddy Josh does need to announce things and follow through with these things. No more maybe what if stuff.
and
So
spoiler, I mentioned that.
you do mention that, but it's like Disney can't rest on their laurels. But at the same time, we also have to be honest about what's actually happening on the ground. And what I'm seeing, what you're seeing, it's busy. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a huge shortage of demand that I'm hearing. So we'll see.
Oh, and I will say,
Josh.
Sorry.
Sorry. Well, no, we'll get to that. I teased it enough. Let's get.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, background. The trip did include visits to the Walt Disney Studios and Walt Disney Imagineering. To me, made the trip worth it completely. But then crossing paths with Josh and then talking to him on our behalf, you could say that was just like cherry on top. But yes, here's one of the two places where we personally can take photos outside the building of the front door. There's me, selfie, Walt Disney Imagineering behind me, as you can see. And then the other place is within the property, but in the courtyard. So it's outside. There's like an outside courtyard, and we could take pictures there too. Otherwise, no photos allowed. Couldn't have our phones out at all. And so the photo you're about to see is courtesy of Adventures by Disney, one of the guides. And as a background, that very same tour guide at a dinner prior to the Imagineering visits, it was the night before. He explained that he's known Josh for a long time, and that Josh has a connection to Adventures by Disney because he was in the leadership. Now I know it was vice president. And he has a fondness still for Adventures by Disney. So not going to lie, I wrote a note for that tour guide to give to him at the end of the tour, hoping he'd relay it to Josh and what we hope for, less what ifs, less blue sky. So that's awesome, actually, that I wrote to him in Imagineering as though I conjured him. And as an aside, after this, the tour guide who knows him mentioned that during our interaction with Josh, that Josh's executive assistant was shooting daggers in her eyes at him because the hangout visiting with us was derailing Josh's schedule. He was falling behind, and he just was like thinking to himself, we're friends. Of course, he's going to chat with me, my tour. Plus, he has a soft spot in his heart for Adventures by Disney.
Nice.
And one of the people on our tour, she's done this tour a couple times prior. She said he's not there all the time. You don't always run into him. He does try to cross paths with Adventures by Disney because he has a fondness for Adventures by Disney, but this does not happen all the time.
Now I got to ask you. So you met the infamous Daddy Josh, right?
I did.
You know,
I stood next to him. You will soon see.
There we go. And so it's interesting because you're heavily involved in this space. Theme park, studio, all that stuff. We talk about a lot. Now that you've met him, has your perception of him changed? Better, worse, same?
I would say it's slightly better, but yet I understand the criticism. At the same time, it's just slightly better because now it's like, okay, it's not just like he's a picture or just a name. Okay, I met him. But it's like I want to believe him, but at the same time I get the frustration against him. But yet, maybe there is like pressure on him that we just don't understand the bean counters. But now that Value Act is in play, rumors are they do want investment in the domestic parks. So, like fingers crossed, but I understand the frustration against him, but
yeah.
I met him, so it's like I can't be like, oh, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. and everything I've ever heard about the guy, I've never heard anyone say he's not really great in person in terms of like his personality. He's really charismatic, really likable guy. And George and I have said that many times on the channel, where it's like, we have nothing against him as a person. Like, I would love to sit down and have a beer with Josh tomorrow. We would have a blast. I just know. He seems like a really fun dude. Josh, if you want, offers open. Let's have a beer.
Hi, good Josh.
Yeah, we'll have a beer.
Me?
Exactly. All three of us will have a beer with Josh, But no, he seems like a great guy. It's just like, the fan frustration is he's not really pulling the trigger when it comes to these projects. And like you said, to be fair, we don't really know the behind the scenes. There might be some other things at play. I do think with Florida, there's that element of the unknown with the whole Reedy Creek DeSantis thing. A lot of legal back and forth right now. Maybe they're waiting for it to be settled and the dust to settle, and then they'll move forward with that. But George, you have some thoughts on your mind about this, I think, right?
Oh yeah, many.
Go ahead, dude.
I'm buckling my seatbelt, but I won't take anything personally. He's like, "Oh, you're too nice."
I was going to say, I think you're the right person to have met him right now because you have that very very sweet, charismatic personality. where you can ask him questions, but on a much nicer scale. I think for me, I'd I'd probably tell him, quit the fake tan bullshit and let's just get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, build that
That
villain's
tour
land.
guide would be like, okay, we gotta go.
Yes.
And he'd be like, thanks a lot, Georgia. We're never going to be invited here again.
Yes. That's okay. I'll just grab one of their clipboards and throw it. Like, here, you drop that. Go pick it up. So anyway, Josh, let's get back to the.
Get back to business.
And Josh is nice. He's the chairman, so there's polite deference on my part. After all, I was a guest at Walt Disney Imagineering, and also if I had a chance to ask him a question, I knew that I had to start positive. It's honey versus vinegar, carrot versus stick sort of thing. So, there was, I spotted him. Oh my gosh, Josh Navarro. So yeah, curtsied. So he, it's the path of truth, and also it was strategic, and also I'm a kind person. So it was an honor to meet him, but also I knew I had to play nice to ask the questions. And so yes. Oh, quickly, here's the courtyard where I could take a photo. So yeah, there's me, and I happened to be standing next to Josh. I worked it well. We were replacing ourselves. I had no idea if a photo would be possible. I'm so glad it turned out, because this is great. But yes, I thought, okay, if I'm going to be able to ask him a question, I need to be standing next to him. I know here's the group photo. I pixelated other people to protect their privacy, but this is in a hallway in the Imagineering building. But there's the group photo, and then I kind of cropped it here.
There you go.
But so he asked if there was any questions, and I didn't want to be first. That just seems too reporterish. So I was like second or third. So then I had my chance. I had my fingers crossed, big smile. Here, I'll try to show it to you. So I was like this. And he was right next to me, as you could see. So he saw me like this. I'll go back to the full screen layout. And what I said, also I couldn't write this down right away. So some of this is paraphrasing. I couldn't recall all of my exact words and Josh's. But I did tell myself, please just remember this as much as possible. So I did say, fingers crossed, at the D23 Expo. I now know it's called something else, but he knew what I meant. I know what I meant. And then I just said, at the D23 Expo, I hope that along with What Ifs and Blue Sky, there will be announcements, if there will be announcements, because I didn't want to be too hard-hitched reporterish. So I believe I said if, but I know the keywords are that along with What Ifs and Blue Sky, announcements. And he said both. He continued to emphasize he's at Imagineering a lot, and the path is forward. Repeated what he said at the town hall about Disneyland growth potential. And the impression I'm having, it's okay if I'm wrong. It's cool, believe me. But I believe he's this way because it's a mixture of Iger directive of caution and Chapek, when Chapek was CEO, ironically enough, because yes, Chapek was more about announcements when he had the same position. But it's all from these CEO financial pressures. And it's his way of communicating excitement, because maybe I think he's hoping if he feels that if he gets Disney fans really, really excited, that we'll be like, yes, we want this, and Disney Corporation will hear that message. So I said what I did to emphasize to him more is needed and appreciated. And hopefully he gets the message. Hopefully, he picks up what I put down, because I tried.
Yeah, no, that's great, Ollie. That's great. So he did say there's going to be announcements along with
both. I remember
along with the maybe Blue Sky stuff.
I know,
So
but yeah,
that's interesting.
I made sure to say announcements to him that
Yeah, I do. I find that I definitely find that interesting that it's both.
Yeah,
like usually you would lean
hopefully
more
the
towards
Epic
the one.
Universe announcement. Recently the Epic Universe announcement with the excitement. It didn't make Google trending, so normies don't care thus far, but the fan reaction to Epic Universe, hopefully that kind of got Disney's attention, and maybe that got his attention to. But yeah, maybe that changed since then. But yeah, at the time he said both with what if, blue sky, and announcements.
Now here's the thing with the blue sky and the announcements. Okay, on paper I'm good with that, but it kind of depends though for me, because if the blue sky stuff is like, okay, we're gonna blue sky, I don't know, some small thing in Magic Kingdom. Okay. And then the announcements are, oh, we're bringing Pandora to Disneyland, or we're bringing, a Villain's Land to Walt Disney World. If he brings big announcements, like concrete official stuff, like we're going to start building like this year stuff, and then he sprinkles in some small, maybe more minor, like blue sky stuff, I'm totally cool with that. But if the official announcements are the smaller stuff, and then the blue sky stuff is like the heavy hitting stuff, I'll be very disappointed. That's kind of like where I'm at with it. I really feel like the official announcements need to be something big. And he seems to, he needs something. And they do seem really bullish on California. Like you mentioned it in your clip here, Alia, where, he reiterated again, there's growth potential in California. There's growth potential in California.
He used the word forward too.
There we go. He's on brand. He's on brand.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember. I texted you as soon as I could. Like, what's the whole thing? We were in the bus on the way to Disneyland, and I texted you as soon as I could and tried to remember as much as possible. And there's not too much difference, is there? Because I was trying to remember everything.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. What are your thoughts?
Well, and I find it interesting that right now, when we think about it, a lot of the big announcements that was the blue sky, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right now are really only proclaiming to Walt Disney World, if we really think about it.
Oh, that's true.
The Beyond Big Thunder, Walt Disney World. Animal Kingdom, Walt Disney World. We really didn't get too much of blue sky what if for Disneyland. And I think the reason for that is because I think they have more greenlit decisions for Disneyland.
Like behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think they're going to utilize that for D23 because of Disneyland Forward. I think for Walt Disney World, I do think that they may announce what really is going to go in the place of Dino Land. But I think the Beyond Big Thunder, I don't think they're there yet. So I think they'll still bring that up again, but I think we're going to get probably another rendering concept of what could be Beyond Big Thunder. Because even Bruce Vaughn was mentioning that he has some ideas in mind. So we might be seeing what those ideas are at D23, because if Coco and Encanto do come to Animal Kingdom along with Indiana Jones, then the Beyond Big Thunder concept is going to have to change significantly.
Right. Well, now, what do you think? Because you brought up a great point, George. I mean, the what if and maybe stuff is the what if and maybe stuff is Walt Disney World driven. I mean, we didn't get any what if stuff for California. What do you think the reason behind that is? Do you think it's probably the Reedy Creek stuff? Maybe
I think it's the politics. I think right now Disney is in a much better position with California. I think they have a now better understanding with Newsom, that he, despite of what he did, back in 2020, it's the fact that we can move on from that. And it's like, if he can understand the Disneyland Resort and the company and is on board with Disneyland Forward, that's all I ask for. It's like, as long as we can move away from like what the mistakes were in the past several years, and it could benefit the Disneyland Resort for many decades to come, where we can get Disneyland Forward greenlit, then so be it. And I think they have a lot more projects that's ready once they get the green light. We may not get it in a year or two. It might be 4, 5, 6 years, but I think from Disneyland Forward being greenlit, I think they're ready.
Yeah. Alia, what do you think? What's your theory on that? Like, in terms of like why there's all this blue sky stuff for Disney World, but really there wasn't any blue sky stuff for Disneyland. Like, what the stuff they announced at Disneyland was stuff that was going to happen. There was no maybe with Disneyland. You think it's the Reedy Creek stuff or something else going on?
Oh, precisely. I think it's a mixture of Reedy Creek stuff, and just, yeah, they're just waiting too to see how successful Epic Universe is, how much it'll affect them. I think right now they suspect it's going to cannibalize Universal Studios Orlando itself more than them. So I think it's a wait and see with all of that. I know people with Disneyland Forward, they're kind of nervous about the mayor of Anaheim and some council members. But when you look closely at their quotes, they're either neutral or neutral positive. I think they'll be fine. And if they ever start to waver, Gavin Newsom's going to get on the phone with them and be like, "What are you doing?"
Well, and that's, yeah, exactly. And exactly. And Ollie, you make a great point. It's like the mayor of Anaheim is a Democrat, and the top Democrat in the state, Newsom, basically endorsed this thing. He went to Disney, right? I would be shocked. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna go against Newsom and all that. I mean, there's very little chance of that.
So anyway, what's funny is it seems.
Sorry, Allie, go ahead.
Oh, nothing.
Okay.
I just gotta go off.
Sometimes I'm not sure because I have you on this one and then you down there. So I'm not. Wait, which Alia is it?
He's trying to recognize me. That's just the impression I got. I got the feeling he was wondering if I was one of the many he recognized, but it's only an educated guess because his eyebrow went up when he answered, which kind of cracks me up. So either he's trying to place me, or he's kind of shocked I asked a quote unquote tough question after all the honey, or both. But the tour guide who knows him,
maybe Daddy Josh watches OG 55 and recognizes you all. Yeah.
I was gonna say if that's the case. I was gonna say if that's the case, like I bet you because that's probably why.
He was like this. He was like.
That's why. Like he's
Dwayne
like
Johnson,
trying
the
to.
Rock.
It's like he's seen you, but he can't like pinpoint like where he had seen you. So I think he does. I think he does watch. I think it's a good thing that you and I weren't there, OG. We'd be in big trouble.
I know. That's true.
and continued to be nice to me afterwards. I don't think I crossed any lines though. So
the tour guide.
I had a short time talking with him, but I just wanted to give him the message of I'm a pixie duster, yet I have constructive feedback for him. And so, I did want to add too that we went behind the scenes at the maintenance areas for Indy and Radiator Springs, and maintenance is taken very seriously. For the third shift, especially, each vehicle is thoroughly inspected. Therefore, I do strongly believe that the maintenance critiques are primarily the fault of the guests, of the riders. And if the stats indicate mostly their fault, that is when the ride has refurbishment. But usually it's because something falls on the track and they have to shut it down to be sure all is okay.
That's absolutely true, Ollie. We actually talked to a team lead
Thank you.
No, you're absolutely right. With these trackless rides, we talked to a team lead at Disney like a few months ago for Rise of the Resistance, and majority of the time when that attraction goes down, it's because someone lost their hat. That ride rides on, was it like not a Bluetooth, like a RC something chip? I'm not a tech person, but it's trackless, right? So when you throw something on the ground, it affects the sensors and what have you. That's the majority of
every square inch. They have to be sure. So
exactly. So you're absolutely correct on that. And a lot of people think it's just, yeah, they think, oh, well, the ride's broken. It's not broken. It's working as it should actually when it goes down. Now it's annoying. I love Rise of the Resistance. I hate when it goes down, but it is what it is,
Okay. And so that is my discussion of Adventures by Disney and the quick interview and conversation I had with Josh tomorrow. And if there's any questions, if I happen to be on a stream, Orange Grove 55 stream, I'll try to, and it's live, I'll try to answer.
No, it's not live.
It's not live, but you are on the show. So absolutely, like you heard Alia, like definitely comment down below with any questions you might have for her.
Or with replay, I'll try to be in chat.
Exactly. She'll try to be in the chat. So if when it premieres, when you're watching this, if she's in the chat, feel free to ask her a question. But it's interesting, interesting stuff here. Like, I mean, it's promising, at least like you said, we're going to get some concrete, announcements. That's good. Now, hopefully they're big announcements. That's my only concern.
If he makes me out to be a liar, it's not my fault.
No, I mean, well, you know, by the time the expo rolls around, we're talking, what is that in August, George?
August. Yep.
I mean, he could have told you the truth, and then by August, things change, you know. So
Yeah. 'Cause
Or
this was
maybe now
December.
that you actually called him on, maybe he actually has the pressure now of actually getting something ready. After he was probably done taking the pictures, like, uh-oh, I got to go back to the team and like, come on, we got to come up with something. Like, let's.
come on,
Yes, it was me, not the Epic Universe announcement. It was
Yes.
me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, before we close it out, Alia, because you know this does kind of relate to Epic Universe because that there is that response element here with some of this stuff. What are your overall thoughts? I don't think we've ever had a video together about Epic Universe. What are your overall thoughts about like Epic Universe and like that Disney sort of equation?
I didn't know I was going to be asked this. I didn't have a prepared response. My
Well, just in
goodness.
general, like in terms of like the competition factor, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is it gonna affect the, you know, the market over there? You think, in your opinion, you know?
I think rising tide raises all boats. I mean, initially, just because of the distance factor. I mean, even within Disney, they say that Animal Kingdom kind of has an effect because it's all buses. So it kind of has an impact within Disney, whereas the others are connected with monorail and the Skyliner thing. And so those are more convenient. So with Epic Universe, with the bus thing, that kind of might hurt Universal Studios itself. And so I don't know. I think people, I think rising tides will raise all boats, but I think initially with Epic Universe, it's going to hurt Universal Studios Orlando separate with Islands of Adventure. Epic Universe will do great. I think people are, though, going to kind of I think they're going to maybe stay at let's see, I'm trying to think if I was a normie, how would I do this?
Because Epic Universe has 2 hotels, right?
Right.
So it's its own little resort almost.
I'm wondering, because not everybody's like me of like 2 hotels. Oh my gosh. With that, you know, what I mentioned earlier. I'm wondering if they might do 2 or 3 nights with the Epic Universe Hotel and then 2 or 3 nights with Walt Disney World, or vice versa. Like, do that first, and then, because some people some people are like more flexible than me. Right. So I'm wondering if they might do that. So
you never know. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think Epic Universe will be, if you're gauging success like on it being busy when it opens, yeah, it's going to be busy. I mean, there's Nintendo. You know, Seymour Duck will be there on for opening day. I'm sure we love Seymour. But yeah, it's going to be, people love Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? So it will be busy. My thing, and I've stayed true to this the whole time for a long time. I think it's what you're saying, Alia. I think if there's any cracks in it, it's going to be the cannibalization of what it does to the other Universal parks. But Alia, great video. You sound like you had a fantastic time. It sounds like you're going to do it again.
It's so wonderful.
So how would you letter grade it? How would you letter grade Adventures by Disney if you were to do A through F? Like, what would you give it? Your experience.
A+.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Now, George, you were saying that you were interested in maybe doing this.
I am. I have been for several years to do an Adventures by Disney, especially with the Southern California one, because of all the stops with Walt Disney Imagineering and the Walt Disney Studios, and possibly do the longer one because of the Jim Henson lot and everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to hear that you give it an A+, because I'm still very much considering on experiencing it. So
yeah,
that's fantastic. My only regret advice is they give you a 4-day park hopper ticket, and so what I did was I left on the latest flight that evening, and instead I was not wise. And everybody's like, "Oh, I'm just staying the night and I'm going to leave the next day." I was like, "Oh, I didn't think that through," because they they don't include that night. So, I mean, maybe I should dock them a grade or half a grade and give them an A for that instead of an A plus, but that's not their fault. I have a brain, I can add an extra night. Yes, that's my cost, but that's on me. So my advice would be to add an extra night, use that whole ticket, because it is a 4-day park hopper, and then leave the next day like mid-morning, be more relaxed about it.
There you go. Well, Alia, it's always an honor having you on. Well, hey, we got quarterly earnings coming this week, so if you want to come on again,
maybe I can join for that.
Yeah, absolutely, because we got that coming up with Mr. Seymour Duck. Have you done a video with Seymour yet? I don't think you have. Or no, you did. You did do a video with Seymour.
I believe I did.
I think you did. But yeah, we got that coming up. Very exciting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing pans out. I'm really curious, actually, with that, how the Walt Disney World numbers look, because I know Universal Orlando.
I selfishly say.
Yeah, Universal saw a little softening over there. I'm curious to see how Walt Disney World. If we see a softening with Disney World as well, it's more of a Orlando, Florida issue.
Thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll
see. A
Florida thing. So, AliaaAloha, thank you so much for joining us today. If you could remind everybody where they could find you on social media.
AliaaAloha on Twitter's X.
There it is. Twitter's X. And then right over here, we got the Italiano looking freshly tanned like Enrique Iglesias returning from California and Florida. Welcome back, sir. If you let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. Everybody comment down below. Or if Ollie's in the chat, ask Alia right in the chat right now.
But be nice.
Yes, always be nice. Always be nice. Well, you're a mod, Alia, so you can handle that if they're not. You know what I'm saying? Click.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
It's like swipe next.
Next. Yeah,
I'm always worried about doing that accidentally. I was like Butterfingers, but if I do, I'd be like, oh, gee.
Well, thank you so much for joining, and Italiano, thank you for joining. Thanks everybody for watching. See you guys next time on OD55. Aloha.
세상이 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.